5, will please rise to pledge the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Township Manager, would you please take a roll call?
Ms. Kimura.
Here.
Ms. Kircher.
Here.
Mr. Ham.
Here.
Mr. Pino, Vice Chairperson.
Here.
Mr. Mohammed, Chairperson.
Here.
All present, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Agenda amendments. Do we have any amendments for tonight's agenda?
I have none.
Okay. Moving on. Announcements. The Board of Supervisors would like to announce that we held an executive session earlier this evening to discuss the Hughes v. Exeter Township litigation. Public comments, agenda items. Seeing none, we'll move on to presentation, 5-year financial forecast, and I believe who's taking that, Bill?
Yep, I'll be taking that.
You see it up here?
It's named Bill's 5-year rev.
See it?
Anybody got a flash drive?
Yeah, I'm just gonna set it for Yeah, this is what I have on this plan right here.
Huh.
Wow.
Race, who's the first?
Go down and see.
That's a lost race for me. I didn't even attempt. You're good.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's got it. But this is yours.
All right.
Let's pass it on down.
Yeah. It's funny that this one. Many years.
All right. We're going to take a look tonight, 5 years down the road. And I'm here to tell you it is a pretty bumpy road. Thanks. So we're looking at a baseline projection of the township's general fund operating position over the next 5 years. Just to enable us to do some long-term planning and for the Board of Supervisors to make some decisions on the direction that the township is going. So this forecast assumes that we're going to continue our existing service levels and the way we cost things out. It does not include major capital initiatives, does not include any new staffing or other strategic changes. The figures are conservative and intended to highlight some financial pressures that lie ahead. So here we go. Some of the things we're looking at. we're currently operating at a deficit. Our expenditures are exceeding the revenue that we take in. So we're looking at a shortfall to increase from the 1.4 million this year to nearly 3.9 million by year 2030. So it just reflects that our expenditure growth is consistently outpacing the money that we're taking in over this 5-year period. So our revenue growth is only about 1% per year, while the expenditures are estimated to be 3 to 4% a year. And this is just general fund. So what we're gonna look at is our different kinds of taxes that we take in, like earned income tax, business privilege tax, real estate tax, and we're looking at these through historical trends. The amount of money that we've gotten over the past years. Most of the costs, when we're looking at how much we're gonna have to put out over the next 5 years, they're modeled using the 5-year average of the Consumer Price Index. Unless we have more specific factors like contractual increase and healthcare market trends, which is both the police lieutenant and the fire chief has told you, healthcare expenses have gone up consistently every year and basically in double digits. The wages follow current collective bargaining agreements. Police department have agreements, the Teamsters have agreements, and when we don't have agreements, we're looking at a placeholder for a 3.5 annual increase is what we're assuming. We don't include capital projects in here. We don't include equipment replacements or upgrades. So these needs continue, they will be significant, and will require some planning in the forthcoming years. So let's talk about our staffing levels in Exeter Township. Currently, we have 66 full-time employees, 38 of which are sworn police officers, 17 of which are full-time in public works. We have a zoning officer and an officer assistant in engineering, and 2 part-time employees, including our code enforcement officer and another office assistant. Finance, we just have 2 full-time employees, including the director and finance associate. Parks and Rec, 1 full-time coordinator. The administration is the township manager, human resource manager, an executive assistant, and a customer service representative that also does some accounting functions. We did eliminate 1 position earlier this year. That was a junior accountant. We were able to do that once the township sold the Reading Country Club, because that took a lot of accounting. And when we sold the country club, we were able to take some of what the junior accountant did, put it upon the shoulders of other people dealing in finance, and we're doing really well with that. Excellent. So our second biggest means of revenue is our real estate tax. And if you look at that chart, you can see the different property types we have and the total assessed value. So we highlighted the residential because that is really by far, when you talk about our real estate, that's the most money that we bring in. And that's going to be pretty important down the road here. Problem with Exeter is the real estate assessment base is essentially flat. We haven't been getting much extra money even when we have new house gains, new home gains, new apartment gains. because they've been largely offset by the assessments being lowered, being challenged and being lowered. So each 0.25 millage, each quarter millage increases revenues by approximately $325,000. And just to point out, it would take $94 million in additional real estate assessments or new development to generate the same $325,000 as a 0.25 millage. Okay. Next, we have the business privilege tax. And I think a lot of people feel that the township gets a lot more money from business privilege taxes than we do. So you can see a business that grosses $5 million generates only $3,750 to the township in that tax. And it's heavily concentrated. It's a commercial tax, right? So currently about a dozen businesses generate about half of the business privilege tax. And these categories are, they're very large retail stores, big box stores, Walmart, Giant, Target, those kind of stores, full service, gas station, nursing homes and medical facilities, and then manufacturers with high sales. But actually let's see what that brings in. That brings in about $736,000 is it for the entire township for a business privilege tax. Next one. So earned income tax, which is currently the largest revenue source in the township, brings in about $5 million for this year. It's only paid by residents. So a household that earns $97,000 contributes about $485 to the township. In many communities, that has been experienced the most growth in township revenue. And that goes up if you have an increase in wage earning residents. For instance, if we were to have a huge manufacturing plant here that employed, say, 1,000 people, and only 200 of those lived in the township, we only get that tax from 200 people. The rest of that tax goes to their home municipalities where they live. So having a large business in the township doesn't generate as much revenue as residential people living here. The other part of the growth in earned income tax, of course, is rising income averages. You pay according to how much you make. Okay. Now we'll look at the average of what the township services and departments cost. You can see if you look at the extreme right, the average growth rate we anticipate, based on historical averages, that these are going to be the rates that our budgets are going to increase. And you can see they go from a low of the Board of Supervisors, of course, to the police department. And that holds true over the years. Okay. This is a little bit more difficult to follow, but how are we going to meet the amount of revenue that we need to continue our service operations at the current level with current staff? What we need to do is keep up with the Government Finance Officers Association recommended minimum fund balance. What we like to have in our coffers is enough money to operate for 2 months if no other revenue would come in. It's kind of like having, 2 months worth of household expenses in the bank that you could live off of till you got some more money rolling in. So we looked here at a couple different things. First, if you can pick out the green line between 4.0 and 2.0, and if you follow that, it turns into a red line. And the red line is what we would need to keep the Government Finance Officers Association fund balance for the township. And you can see that that's the only line that's keeping pace with expenditures. The rest of them are falling way below and are going to wipe out any kind of fund balance that we have pretty quickly. It's a pretty steep decline, and you can see at the end of our 5-year forecast, it looks pretty bad. The yellow, or I guess it's orange, I'm color deficient, so these colors are a little challenging for me. But it looks like an orange line that goes the lowest. That is if we take no action, no tax increases, no transfer from, say, the wastewater treatment facility to make sure that we keep afloat. So we're gonna be in the red pretty quickly and pretty severely. If you look at the blue, that's if we would transfer $1 million from our wastewater treatment proceeds interest annually. It still sinks us and sinks us pretty rapidly. It's not enough to keep up with our expenditures. If you look at if we would add a $250,000 tax increase annually for the next 5 years, we sink a little bit slower, but we still wind up being in a significant deficit. But if you look at that red line, that's if we would add the millage to match the requirements that are recommended. Give you just a little time to look at that. So the red line is where we should be to keep up with expenditures and make sure we have a couple months of operating expenses. Okay. Here it is in a chart form, and here's the bad news. In order to meet the expenditures, we have to look at tax increases 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30, maybe beyond. So if you look at the incremental annual mills that we have to add, and this is for a home that's assessed at $110,000, you can see the additional taxes that it will take each year to keep us afloat. For instance, in 2026, that taxpayer who owns a home valued at $110,000 will be paying an additional $40.81 to their taxes. That's above what they pay in 2025. And you can see it goes up dramatically as the expenses rise and our revenue, other than a tax increase, is rather stagnant. So at 2030, we're adding $335 to, in addition to the tax you currently pay. Now that amount is added each year. So what we also done, if you look over to the right side of the chart, this is cumulative. This is what each year gets added on to the next year, to the next year, to the next year. So by the time we hit 2030, that taxpayer who has a home assessed at $110,000 is now paying over $1,000 a year in addition to what they pay in 2025. So that's a significant increase over the next 5 years. And then to the far right, they just have what that would be every month, starting in 2026 and being cumulative to 2030. So what are the solutions besides a maximum tax increase? Remember we talked about residential properties bringing in the most real estate monies? It's increasing housing across the board. Single family houses, townhomes, and apartments. Because hopefully, people that inhabit those houses and apartments will be working. And if they're working somewhere, we're gonna get earned income tax from those folks besides real estate from the new properties. The other thing we can do is develop any available land we have in the township. So we do put in things that bring in more real estate taxes and bring in more earned income tax. And I can tell you that we are working, our staff is working, meeting with developers who are looking for opportunities to develop land, businesses in the township. We're also meeting with landowners to see what kind of developable land we have in Exeter Township and whether the current landowners are amenable to some kind of development, especially real estate development, which would benefit us the most. But in the short term, we're stuck with general fund tax increases to meet rising costs and try to make up for these lower assessments. We also will probably need fire tax increase to fund the Emergency Services Center. May have to look at establishing an EMS tax to fund the ambulance service. Right now, that agreement we have with Lifeline is funded in the general fund. And another thing on the board is a debt service tax that could be instituted to fund major capital improvement projects, such as improvements to the municipal complex. And we've had several renditions of, what to do with improvements to the municipal complex over the past few years. And I think right now we're strategically looking at really a bare bones improvement. Do what we must do to keep our services functioning. So that's it. That's the forecast. That's the bumpy forecast down the road as we stand right now. It's hard, but right now it's realistic. Without some significant changes, especially in residential developments, we're looking at pretty steady tax increases. Questions from the board?
I might get better than I did the other day. Thank you, Bill. Certainly eye-opening.
Good job.
I appreciate it. And any questions from the Board of Supervisors to Bill?
Other than that, it's something, again, it's
good to bring it up because it's gonna be out there, rather than waiting.
Definitely eye-opening, definitely.
You know, I think Exeter Township delivers really excellent service to the residents. We don't have an overabundance of staff. We have staff that goes beyond what a lot of municipalities do. I work for 7 municipalities, and I can tell you that our staff and our services are either on par or above any other municipality that I've worked with. We do things that most don't, and I always bring up paving. Our public works department does pave township roads by themselves, which saves millions of dollars over a few years if we would have to contract that out like most municipalities do.
And they're done better.
And they've done really well.
Bill, somebody noticed a sort of, I think, a mathematical error. If we're going from, on the police line from fiscal year 2028 to fiscal year 2029, you are projecting an increase of almost $1 million, which does not align with the increase of every year. Is that something was overlooked, or?
What's
10.
Okay, what's your question, sir?
So fiscal year 2028, police department, 10,241,000. Fiscal year 2029, 11,165,000. What is causing this significant increase? Because if you look at the other years, you're increasing about 300,000 and change.
What it could be is the maturation of staff reaching different levels of salary. We have Lieutenant, we have 7 steps to get to the top salary.
Yeah.
So as officers progress through that step, salary for 38 officers becomes more.
Thank you. And I must give a credit to the person that noticed that I did not. So, Chris, thank you. Any other questions for Bill? It's definitely harsh, but it's real, and it's what we have to face. Okay. If there's no other questions, we're gonna move on to the consent agenda, and I'm seeking a motion to approve the consent agenda with its 3 items. 1, minutes from September 22nd, 2025, public hearing. 2, minutes from September 22nd, 2025, Board of Supervisors. And 3, disbursements from October 13th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
No second.
Thank you. Any questions, discussions?
I'm done.
Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0 vote, motion carries. Next item on the agenda, we have administration. And I believe you're up again.
Yes, sir, I'll take that. I get tired of hearing from you tonight.
That's okay.
First thing under administration is we're seeking a motion to adopt ordinance number 875 related to the reporting of the chief of police to the township manager. And as we talked about this, puts the chief in line with the other department heads who report currently to the township manager, and it establishes a clear chain of command and line of authority.
It's also the common theme along other municipalities.
Yes, it is.
Circling back to it, seeking a motion to adopt ordinance number 875 related to the reporting of the chief of police to the township manager. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? I'll second it. Any questions, discussions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Michelle, did I get you as an aye?
No, you didn't take me as an aye.
Okay. Nay?
Nay.
All right, 4-1, motion carries.
Next item is a motion to authorize the advertisement of ordinance 877, which entails disbanding the Fire Advisory Board. Now, this board was originally constituted when the fire departments were merging into the Exeter Township Fire Departments, two separate fire departments. This board is not policy setting. The board does not take any official action. And I believe the fire chief, in consultation with current members of the board, feel that it is not a necessity, and that they were looking at doing something like the police do with Friends of the Police, could be Friends of the Fire or some organization like that that would serve their needs. The fire chief is here, if he has anything you'd like to add.
Yeah, I believe you answered the question that I have, and just looking into forming a different body that would carry the torch per se, with recruitment, with trying to seek donations and reaching out to the community and being entangled with the community, just like what the police department is doing. So is that something forthcoming, and when do you anticipate it forming?
So once the ordinance is passed, we would begin forming that, immediately, and we'd probably have it in place by the end of this month.
Any questions for the chief or Bill? Okay, hearing none, we're gonna circle back to it, seeking a motion to authorize the advertisement of ordinance number 877, disbanding the Fire Advisory Board. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Once again, any questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0 vote, motion carries.
The next item is a discussion and possible motion to approve the 2026 Safety Net Sanctuary contract. This is, 2026 will be the same cost as last year, $1.50 per resident. It's really the only viable, affordable option that we have, and it's working well.
Yeah, you do a good job.
So I hear, well, if you don't hear about it much, it's probably they're doing a good job.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Okay, any questions or comments in that regard?
No, they've been doing a good job.
Yeah. So we're gonna circle back to it, and we're gonna try to motion to approve the 2026 Safety Net Sanctuary contract. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any other questions?
I've none.
Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0 vote, motion carries. Next, we have finance. Who's taking this on?
I'll do that also.
All right.
We'd like to get a motion to approve resolution 2025-30 for the pension state aid distribution. We have distributions needed for the police pension plan, for the employee non-union pension plan, and the employee union pension plan. So this year, the state aid did not cover the total obligation of the township. So the state aid came in at $699,895.24. But the obligation, the MMO, the minimum municipal obligation, is $830,902, which means that coming from the general fund, we need to make up that difference, and that difference is $131,006.76.
So I guess the obvious question is why are we short from state aid?
Okay. I think we were kind of lucky to, like last year, we even exceeded the amount of the pension costs that we had to pay. So, this year it just didn't work out that
Didn't work
way. I
out.
can't give you the exact
Yeah.
figure.
Well, sometimes there's a strike-off letter or something they would send in to explain.
Could be the turnpike commission too.
Well, we did, you know, we also lost some employees when we sold the Reading Country Club.
Right.
So we lost some credits from
Yes.
those folks.
Yeah, that could be it. Okay, any questions for Bill?
Yeah, I got one, and I noticed in here, and I had underlined it, Bill, Township's Chief Administration Officer. Is that something that the state designates for, because I assume you are the Chief Administration Officer?
Yes, I am, that's just.
Okay,
AKA
is that a state term, is that a state terminology that they use? I'm just curious, I never saw it before.
Yeah, our pension plan auditor is in this week, as a matter of fact, and that's something that he was talking about, that he was thinking we should formally make a resolution to create that position for the township manager, but we showed him that it was created a long time ago via ordinance. So our ordinance designates
Township
the
manager.
township manager to serve in that capacity, so we actually should be good.
Okay, thank you. That's it, that's all I had.
Anything else from the board? All right, hearing none, we're gonna circle back to it, seeking a motion to approve resolution number 2025-30 for the pension state aid distribution. Do I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
5-0 vote, motion carries. Thank you, Bill. I think we'll give you a break for a second.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Next on, we have a solicitor report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have nothing to add tonight.
Okay, thank you. Next on, we have Public Works.
All right, I'm looking for approval to sell a 2003 Ford Ranger, and also we have two inflatable games. I would like to sell both of them on municipal bid. The inflatable games that we haven't used since we were in Maydays, roughly like 6 years ago. And we did try them, we did inflate them. They do hold air and stuff like that, but with the rules now that they have to be inspected and everything else like that, there's a huge cost to use them at our events. So I'm recommending that we sell them. And also the 2003 Ford Ranger, it needs more work than what it's worth. The four-wheel drive doesn't work anymore. There is a stone that came up and put a big crack in the windshield, and other odds and ends. So I was looking for approval to sell that on municipal as well.
That was a good truck.
How many miles does it have?
It has over 100,000 miles on it.
The only thing I'd comment on is for the inflatables. I don't know what, I guess, regulations or anything that is associated with the sale. I would probably chat with Chad to make sure you're covered as far as liability.
Well, with the inflatables, what we found out is the people that purchased them, they need to, like for instance, if they were going to use it for commercial use, there's actually a class that they have to attend to receive a license to have them, and also a special insurance, which we also require. Like for instance, our hayride that's coming up this weekend coming up, there's going to be two inflatables there. So there's a certain insurance that they have to have, and also certain licenses to have. Now, if you own it privately, like for instance, if you would buy it for your kids at home, well, that's on you. But however, again, if it's used for other use of doing events and stuff like that.
I would think a couple of sentences or paragraphs saying that the township is not liable or anything.
Right.
At the time of sale would resolve an issue.
Right, and there's also a spot on municipal where we do that, because we do that with our trucks to make sure that everybody knows that they're as is, there is no warranty, there is no return, and we don't ship it, you have to come and pick it up and stuff like
I'm
that,
worried
so.
if somebody breaks their neck on it, then they'll say, well,
Yeah.
they sold it to me and I'm suing them.
Right.
Default,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I could work with,
Good
Bill and
question.
Chad on the proper wording for all there, so.
Any other questions, comments?
Good. Yeah, the pictures, Larry, that we received, was that when you tested them? Because it looked like it was done out front.
Yes, they were actually, before I asked to sell them, I wanted to make sure that they were in good enough shape, because again, we had them in storage for 6 years, so I didn't know if, any critters made their own holes in them, that we would rather throw them out than spend the time of trying to sell them, so.
Now, is that you doing the backflip? All right, circling back to it, seeking a motion to approve the selling of 2003 Ford Ranger and inflatable games on municipal.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll
Any other questions? Comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 5-0 vote, motion carries. Next item, we have police.
Yeah, thank you. Our regular monthly statistic report for September will be out next meeting, but I would like to advise the board of a couple things. Larry mentioned the hayride. We'll have officers out there for both nights, interacting with people, helping keep people safe. Additionally, this month we had Sergeant Dents. He got awarded from Crime Watch the Officer of the Year award for his traffic enforcement programs. We're really proud of that here in Exeter, trying to keep the roads safe for people. We have a identity theft seminar at the library, October 29th. Focus is gift card and romance scams, stuff that we see, unfortunately. We're asking people to RSVP for that, info@exeterpolice.com, or call us. And then finally, we have an officer retiring at the end of the month, and we've conducted a test to begin the process of replacing him. It's a budgeted 2025 replacement, so we'll hear more from that coming weeks.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Any questions?
I've done.
Hearing none. I'm gonna move on to manager's report.
I've got 10 items to discuss this evening.
All right.
I'm only kidding. No, I think I've reported enough tonight. I have
think you
nothing further.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, supervisor's report, I'd like to go from the right and work my way. So Supervisor Kamara, do you have anything to report? Supervisor Curtis?
I have nothing this evening.
Supervisor Ham?
I have nothing.
Vice Chair?
Yeah, two items. First off, those of you that may have missed the sewer plant tour by PA American Water on Saturday, it was very interesting.
What time were you there?
Yeah, very interesting. I don't know how many actually came.
What time were you there?
Did you miss it, Glenn?
Well,
I saw your name on there, but I didn't see
You
it.
came after me then.
Yeah, yeah, but there were, when we went through it, there was only 6 people signed up.
Did they get
That was it.
Yeah.
So I hope more came, but it was quite interesting. And the only other item is the identity theft. I'm glad you mentioned it, Lieutenant Schaefer. On October 29th, we've attended, my wife and I have attended it in the past. Very, very informative. So hopefully it's well attended again. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you. I have nothing to report or add today. We're gonna move on to public comments, non-agenda items, and have one person signed up. Mr. Hoyt?
Good evening, Josh Hoyt, 4511 Edgewood Drive. I'm here to talk about the selection of the next police chief. So first off, good evening, members of the board and community. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to all of you. I'm here to talk about the selection of the next police chief in Exeter Township. I recognize the idea of looking outside the organization to find that next individual. However, in this instance, many of us in the community believe that that is not needed. Internal succession is the goal of many healthy organizations as well as strong organizational culture. Usually you look to bring in an outside person when you're trying to shake things up. In this instance, we don't believe that that is needed. The internal candidates that are looking to take this position, they know the community geographically, they know all the streets, they know all the housing, they know all the businesses. There would be no learning curve when it came to that. Additionally, more importantly, they know all the stakeholders, and they know who those key stakeholders are. They've built relationships with those stakeholders, and those stakeholders want to see those relationships stay in place. They know this community very well, from the ins and outs to the strengths and weaknesses to the things that we want to do to make this and keep this a great place to live, to raise our kids, and to have wonderful experiences so that our families and our young kids see that police officers are our friends and not our enemies. They also, they know what the organizations in the community are doing for active involvement. They know that they know their fellow officers very well. They know their surrounding officers in the other municipalities and townships very well. They know that the state police, the adult probation, juvenile probation, the ADA and the DA's office. They know all of the other teams that have special CERT teams, drugs, narcotic teams. All of those relationships are currently existing. There would be no learning curve with that. One of the greatest things about being in a leadership role is that ability to influence and grow. And in my opinion, and the opinion of many others, I'm speaking on behalf of many people tonight. They know that in either case of the internal candidates, this police department is going to be in tremendous hands. And that type of leadership is really hard to find in today's society. And either one of those individuals would be able to take and keep those things that are currently in place and maybe even make them better. They know the strengths and weaknesses of our township. They know the strengths and weaknesses of our culture. They know how to take things and continue to foster relationships with those key partners and make it a greater place to be. There would be no learning curve with these individuals. And sometimes that's the hardest thing to come into when you're in a leadership role, is that learning curve. The initiatives that have been started would be able to continue in place without any interruption. They would be able to expand the programs they have in place, and then also to bring in new talent within there. Sometimes it's a blessing and a curse to bring in an external person, because sometimes they come in with an agenda. And I know that the individuals that are currently here looking, their agenda is make this an incredible place to be that's safe for our kids and safe for our families. They do so much for this community that many times it goes unnoticed. There's only a handful of people here and only a handful of people watching. They don't understand what these individuals do on a daily basis. I don't always understand what these individuals do on a daily basis, but I see them all the time. I see them at community events. I see them around the community, and I know my kids know them. And I don't know of too many places where these two individuals are as well known as other places these people in position would be. Regardless of what happens, and whichever person it is, we in the community strongly, strongly recommend that you consider one of these two individuals. There are too many great things that are happening right now that we've partnered with our police departments with, that we don't want to see those things change. We want to see them continue, and we want to see them get better. It's our hope that this board makes that decision, and we pray that you do. So thank you very much. Good luck in your search. But again, I'm coming here on behalf of many people who are asking you to look internally and not externally for this position. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Well said.
Okay. That would conclude the non-agenda items comments, and we're gonna move on to adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? Okay. Any comments, questions?
No.
Hearing none. Have a good night, everybody. Meeting is adjourned.